Matt Bernier with the DRF Bets race today for Sunday, June the 10th. Race number 8 at Santa Anita. 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th on the main track. It's the Grade 3 Affirmed. Before we dive into the field, I'd encourage you to head on over to DRF Bets. Take a look at the latest offer. DRF.com/bet is the address for all the details. Let's take a look at the field in post position order. Head on over to the Race of the Day page on DRF.com. You can download free formulator past performances and handicap along in post position order. The number 1 is Runaway, going out for Simon Callahan, making the second start as a 3-year-old. You can see the most recent start was in the Chick Lang. That was on the Preakness undercard, sloppy sealed racetrack. Perhaps you want to draw a line through it. My big concern with a horse like Runaway is I feel like you see that pedigree, Runaway and Hyde. I know there's Pulpit on the bottom, but just really felt like this horse was precocious and an early 2-year-old, and I don't think he has really moved forward at all. If anything, I think he's regressed. And I also don't think additional distance is going to be his friend. To me, Runaway is just the kind of horse that I'm going to be playing against. It is interesting to note, though, that Flavian Pratt stays aboard here as opposed to one of the more well-known names that we'll touch on here momentarily. The number 2 is King Cause, going out for Doug O'Neill. Most recently ran 5th in the last Barrera, going 7/8 of a mile. A couple of horses exiting that race. They're going to run in the Woody Stevens, so by the time this race is run, you'll at least know what the form of the last Barrera looks like. Kentaka and Beautiful Shot, they both shipped to New York. For what it's worth, Timeform US had that last Barrera as an intensely closer-friendly racing surface that day. So the fact that King Cause was up forward, pushing the pace throughout, maybe you want to be kind there. It's interesting to see that they stretch him out, and you see the pedigree at face value, Creative Cause on top, a Street Cry mare on the bottom. Perhaps additional distance isn't going to be a major issue for this one. Thought that run 2 starts back was pretty good. A little bit concerned about the late lead, or going back to the left lead toward the end of the run. So maybe additional distance there is a little bit of a concern. But again, at face value, the pedigree seems to be there. We'll find out if you can successfully stretch out to 8.5 furlongs. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector while we're at it. You can see there's a red bar, and that indicates a fast pace, perhaps compromising some of the horses that are going to be forwardly placed and perhaps setting it up for horses coming from slightly off of it. They have the 3-horse out there actually cutting out the fractions. That is a Fleet Ascent going out for Jerry Hollendorfer, and then right in behind the 1 and the 4-horse. The 1 is Runaway and the 4 is Axelrod. Let's talk a little bit more about Hollendorfer's entrant, the 3-horse, a Fleet Ascent. Most recently was a game 4th running on turf in the Singletary, going a mile. That was one of his most recent starts, but it was his first start off of a little bit of a layoff. And we have a positive formulator fact for a horse like this with a move like this for Jerry Hollendorf. For the past 4 years, turf to dirt, second after the layoff route races, 8 for 27, 15 times in the money with a 431 ROI. For what it's worth, you see it was a relatively bunched up finish at the front of that field. The second place finisher, La La Land, came back to earn an 83 in the next start on turf, and the third place finisher, Move Over, was the next out winner on turf with a 75 buyer. If this horse can successfully transition the good form over to the dirt, perhaps interesting play. I would also be a little bit concerned, though, with that pace projector. If this one's taking too much heat early on, is it going to sap some of the energy for that late final run? For what it's worth, though, the damn Skip Queen, she was 2 for 7 on dirt routing, so you have a little bit of dirt pedigree in there, and it's always fascinating to see. The sire, Northern Fleet, who I believe just passed away, unfortunately, he stood for $5,000. The connections thought enough about this horse to pay $300,000 at OBS in April of 2017. The 4 is Axelrod for Michael McCarthy, stretching out in distance, changing surface, going from 6.5 down the hill out to a mile and a 16th on the main track. This horse, the pedigree, the bottom side, there is much more sprint influence than anything. Warrior's Reward, I'm always thinking a little bit more sprinty. This horse hasn't really done a heck of a lot wrong in his career. He's 2 for 6 lifetime, but he hasn't run fast yet. Now, I suppose you can go through and look and see those, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th lifetime starts. They were all routes on dirt, and 2 victories came from those 3 races, where the only loss was in a stakes race up at Oak Tree at Pleasanton. I just don't know ultimately where this horse stacks up as far as talent is concerned, as well as running style. I think he's going to have a lot to do. And again, against the best horses he's ever faced thus far in his career, I just don't know if I like the combination of things. He looks like he can run a little bit. I just don't know if Sunday is the day for him. The number 5 is the big name in the field, and you have to decide what you want to do with Solimini going out for Bob Baffert. Solimini was most recently 10th in the Kentucky Derby on May the 5th. Prior to that, he ran 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. Prior to that, he ran 2nd in the Rebel. In his last start as a 2-year-old, he was disqualified from a first-place finish in the Los Alamitos Futurity because of some sort of controversial contact. We'll leave it at that. Solimini is a nice horse, but you have to start wondering, when he debuted with an 84 buyer when he won out at Del Mar, and his most recent run, and I know the Derby is probably not the right race to use as the barometer for him, but he earned an 87 buyer in that race. And I just kind of look at it and say, he hasn't gotten a heck of a lot faster through 7 lifetime starts. He's only won one of them, happened to be his debut. And I know technically he won the Los Al race before they took him down, but I just don't think he's improving at all. And maybe he doesn't have to improve to win a race like this. But I do wonder, at the price that he's likely to be, he's going to be very, very short. Do you really want to have a ton of money in on a horse that he doesn't really have a proven winning record, and he usually finds one or two better than him? He's not the most professional horse you've ever seen. He's still figuring things out. Late with lead changes, he'll swap him down the lane. I don't know. He's a likely win candidate. He's probably the most likely winner in this race, just strictly from a speed figure standpoint and from the company that he's been keeping. But I want to take a shot against him. I just don't entirely trust him. Solomini makes a lot of sense, but again, I have enough reasons to go against him in a spot like this at what's going to be a very, very short price. And the horse that I'm going to do that with is drawn to the outside, and it's the last horse of the 6 in this field. This is a horse called Draft Pick going out for Peter Urton. Let's start off with a positive formulator fact for Peter Urton. Over the past 2 years, maiden winner last out, second after the layoff, 4 for 8 with a 333 ROI. Most recently, finally broke through in the 6th lifetime start with a victory over older horses in a maiden special weight race. The 83 buyer, a little bit on the slow side, but I like the way that this horse did it. Joe Talamo, it was basically a long, hard drive. Needed to get into this horse about a half mile to go, but I like the way that he responded and kept going. You can see that they clearly thought highly of this horse. They paid $450,000 for him at the Keeneland September sale in 2016. The dam was multiple stakes placed. It's also worth noting that day that he broke his maiden, perhaps the track was slightly in his favor, so maybe you want to downgrade him a bit about that, just because Timeform US has it being an intensely closer-friendly bias. Not that he was coming from way out of it, but he sat a length off. And I just think he's done some good things. I think it feels like he's the horse that's slowly but surely coming along. You combine the pedigree, you combine the positive formulator fact for Urton, you combine the Timeform US pace projector, where I think Draft Pick, I don't know that he's going to be totally outrun the way that the pace projector has it set up, but if they go guns blazing early and 3 of them hook up, perhaps he is 5 or 6 out of it, but he's going to be able to see out the distance and stay on with it. I think Solomini is probably the most likely winner of this race, but I want to take a shot against him considering he is going to be such a short price. Give me the number 6 horse Draft Pick in here. I'm going to go 6-5 in the Grade 3 Affirmed on Sunday afternoon out at the Great Race Place. If you're playing the Affirmed on Sunday afternoon, DRF Bets is the way to do it. Head on over to drf.com/bet for the latest offer and all the details to get your own DRF Bets account. The Sunday DRF Bets race of the day is the Grade 3 Affirmed from Santa Anita. Race number 8 scheduled post time is 4 o'clock Pacific. Best of luck.